What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers, odd squad? Happy Sunday, December 6th to all of you. Thank you for joining us here on the NFL Kickoff Show. Giant Sunday ahead of us. Bebsy, my man, how you doing?
Not so bad, Jimmy. Not so bad. I'm ready to get going. I'm ready to kick off. Let's get this done.
Let's roll. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat joining us. We have a big Sunday card ahead of us and lots of moves still to fire away at. We'll review what we are on already and see what kind of additions we will be making. Shout out to all the cappers joining us in the chat. We got Swervin, Ostino Ligid, Dan Kelly. Says, why is the Cleveland Tennessee total the highest on the board when everyone agrees it's going to be a matchup of run games? I look forward to talking about this. We got Turnsy in the house. K. Paul, VIP, Nutflush Allen, Mr. Funmonk, JT. Says, no Denzel Ward, A.J. Brown will eat. There's a lot of truth to that. David Sharp in the house. Thank you for joining us. Razor, Sharp, Picks. Higher vibrations, Nuke Worker, Cash Action Bets, Mark Unkefer, Jake Patello, Paco Healy. What a group. I'm ready to roll. Hustle Wilson, Bill McHugh, Aaron, maybe Rico, Montana, Lily Gunn, Bumbleclot. Oh, I love it. And look at Nutful Sean says, Kristen just said she feels like you're part of our family as much as she hears you. I wish I was actually part of the Allen family, the best family in handicapping. Vegas Marv, J Cash, Duke Cody, Jordy Nordman, Birdie, SDA, Lee Federchuk, Mike Howard, Steven Martinez, Prince of the City, North Ender. Okay, Levi Kressler. All right, let's get to work. Thank you guys all for joining us. We have a lot of work to do. First, let's review action. Bebsy, the Steelers hurt us.
I wasn't happy about it, Jimmy. I wasn't happy about it at all. I believe I sent you some text messages that had cuss words in them.
I believe you did. We did double up on the Colts. I feel very good about that. You have Packers first quarter -2.5, Chiefs first quarter -4. How do you feel about your remaining 4 bets?
Well, I got to feel better than I did about Pittsburgh. You know, I should have stuck with my gut in boycotting that ridiculous game. It was ugly. The Steelers left all kinds of points on the board. Fuck that game. We're just going to light it up this week. That's what we're going to do. The rest, sweep. I'm calling it now.
I like hearing that. I also doubled up on the Colts. I feel really good about that spot. Totals perspective, I'm on 5 unders. And as of yesterday, I'll have to check it again. I had beaten the market move on 4 of them and then got crushed on 1 of them. So I have the Saints Falcons under 46. And let's see what that is at right now. That's at 45.5, so whatever, beat up by that point. I have Giants Seahawks under 48. That's now at 47. I have Rams Cardinals under 48.5. Oh, that's back to 48.5. That's not good. And then this is when I got killed. Philadelphia Green Bay under 46.5. What a joke. It shot up to 49.5. And then Patriots, Chargers, I have under 47, and that's where it is now. Okay, so not so good. Robert Jerry in the house. Great to see you. Okay, let's get to work. Bebsy, we're going to start with this Lions-Bears spot. I said I would back the Bears with Akeem Hicks, but I don't know if Akeem Hicks is going to be in the lineup this afternoon. This total opened up at 45. It's now at 44.5. The Bears opened up at -5.5. They're all the way down to -2.5. Soldier Field, Chicago, Illinois, 38 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 4 miles per hour. The 5 and 6 Bears, just 2-3 at home this year. Lions 4-7, 3-3 on the road. Detroit will be led by interim coach Darrell Bevell after the Patricia and Bob Quinn firings last week. They released receiver Marvin Hall and tight end Isaac Nauta. They downgraded DeAndre Swift to doubtful. They placed Desmond Trufant with a hamstring injury on injured reserve. They placed defensive tackle Danny Shelton with a knee injury on injured reserve. Kenny Golladay ruled out. Cornerback Jeff Okudah and defensive end Deshaun Hand are ruled out. Defensive end Austin Bryant is doubtful. Jonathan Williams, Tracy Walker are listed as questionable, and yet the market's moving towards these Lions. Do you agree with that market move, Bebsy?
I don't actually. I feel now there's a lot of value in taking the Bears. Now that it's bet down to under a field goal, I think there's a lot of reason to jump on the Bears here.
I do too. All right, let's talk about them. Trubisky committed 3 turnovers. Defense gave up 4 touchdown passes. They lose 41-25 at Lambeau. They were down 41-10 in the fourth quarter. They looked awful. They had been ranked in the top 10 defensively, but without Akeem Hicks, they looked very bad. Without Roy Robertson Harris, they couldn't. Hicks and Harris, Robertson Harris, they couldn't stop the Packers from running the ball up the gut. 182 yards rushing for the Packers. Bears gave up touchdowns on 4 of the Packers' first 5 possessions. 4 or 5 possessions in the red zone, 6 of 11 on third down. Bears have lost 5 straight, but they've beaten the Lions 5 straight. So we see Trubisky now. Montgomery ran for a season high 103 yards. Allen Robinson got 2 touchdowns at Green Bay. He's listed as questionable with a knee injury. He's very important. Khalil Mack has 6.5 sacks on the year, none in the past 3 games. Linebacker James Waters is out. Wide receiver Darnell Mooney. Guard Jermaine Ifedi. Offensive tackle Charles Leno, defensive tackle Akeem Hicks, linebacker Josh Woods are all listed as questionable. Khalil Mack is listed as questionable, but he's expected to go. Dan Kelly says, I seldom put much stock in coaching changes, but I think the players didn't care for Patricia, and him being out should be a relief and motivating. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest hang-up on taking the Bears right now is I do believe we are going to see a better Detroit team now that Matt Patricia is gone. However, they're still not a great team. They're still missing a ton of players, ton of important players as well. And a few of the guys here in the chat saying this, and I agree. As bad as Trubisky is, he has played well against the Detroit Lions in his career. So I think I'm going to jump on the Bears here. My only apprehension is exactly that the coaching change may be enough to ignite these Detroit Lions.
Yeah. It's. I think I'm just gonna have to stay off, sadly. But I could understand why you want to make a move on the Bears. And if Akeem Hicks was here, I would be betting the Bears, but obviously I wouldn't be getting a 2.5. And then Khalil Mack is supposedly under the weather. That's from our guy Duke Cody saying that he's under the weather right now. Would you like me to line shop for you, my friend?
Yeah, buddy. Let's put this in.
All right, let's do that right now. We're on the odds.com odds page. Thank you guys all so much for joining us here on a big Sunday. And we are shopping right now to get Bebsy the Bears. Wow. I thought there were 2.5s all over the board.
There were a second ago.
That's strange. Let me go directly to FanDuel just as a see if this is all because it says -3s across the board. So let me just double verify that information right now.
It's all changed here on my side as well too. They're all up to 3, which I don't want. I want 2.5.
Wow, that must have just happened. I could get you a -2.5, but heavily juiced. Oh no, it just switched to 3.
All right, take it away.
All right. Oh,
damn it!
Wow, wild. Diehard MMA podcast in the house. We got our guy Clint. Clint is he's been killing props right now. He's on the Montgomery rushing yards over and TD prop for Clint. Mad Capper says the Bears have no chance. And Robert Cherry, I just saw that 2.5 on FanDuel, just moved to the 3. What do you think about this total here, Bebsy, at 44.5? Leading indicator books are moving it to 44.
I mean, I think the under's got to be a real look in this, just based on both of these teams not really being able to score much. So I'm not really ready to jump on this under because it is fairly low, but I mean, it's under or no play for me.
Brady says this could be sharp money, actually. Swift out. If that's true, Bears become a solid play. I think the Bears are the right play.
Would have liked to start the show 10 minutes earlier.
But okay. It's too bad. Brady says if Lions can't run and no Galloway, the Hicks injury is less worrisome. I agree. Nut Flush Allen wants to know what the team total is for these Chicago Bears. Let's see what I can offer up from Bet 365 for a team total for the Chicago Bears. 23.5. Steven Martinez says the Bears are the right play in a bad situation. Stay off this game. Brady says still value in 3, though. God, it's funny. 10 minutes, you're right. Duke Cody said I would assume Bevel had minimal time to prep too. All right, you know what? Let's just not sit here and hum and haw. All right, Vegas Marvel, let's roll. We move on to the Bengals, Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida, 80 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 6 miles per hour. Dolphins open up minus 11.5. That's down to 10 or 10.5. This total opened up at 42.5. It's now 43. Bengals lost their first game playing without Joe Burrow. Third straight overall, 19-17 setback at home. To the Giants, put up 155 yards of offense. Brandon Allen, 17-29, 136 yards. But they're going with him. They are sticking with him. He had last played a game in 2019 for Denver, promoted from the practice squad, fumbled the ball on a potentially game-winning drive. Running has been a serious problem with Joe Mixon on the IR with that foot injury. Bengals could get nothing going on the ground, 15 carries for just 20 yards. Brandon Wilson has been a bright spot, kick returner. We talked about him for the last few weeks in a row. Tied for first in the NFL with 5 kickoff returns of at least 40 yards. Ran a 103-yard touchdown first quarter kickoff return. T. Higgins, 48 catches through 11 games on pace to get close to the rookie record of 67 by Chris Collinsworth in 81. Guard Alex Redmond out with a concussion. Wide receiver Mike Thomas. Defensive tackle Xavier Williams. Cornerback B.J. Finney. Long snapper Clark Harris. Defensive tackle Christian Covington. Safety Brandon Wilson are all listed as questionable. Dolphins have won 6 of their past 7. With a win, they'll be 8-4. Best 12-game record since 2003. Ranked 4th in point differential, plus 79. We talk about that every week. First half point differential, plus 81 is NFL's second best. Second in NFL points allowed. Lead the league in third down defense. 1 takeaway in 17 straight games. Get Myles Gaskin back. 387 yards on 100 carries. 30 receptions with 198 yards. But we still don't know who's at quarterback. Tua listed as questionable. Limited in practice with the thumb injury. Breda was placed on the injured reserve COVID list. And Salvin Ahmed, shoulder injury. They're the running back. The other running back, DeAndre Washington, hamstring. They're both doubtful. Running back Malcolm Perry, chest is questionable. So does that tell you that Myles Gaskin? I don't want to take a Myles Gaskin prop after coming back from a knee injury. I can't do that, but looks like he'll get a lot of play. Guard Solomon Kindley is listed as questionable. Bebsy, I thought there was value on the Bengals at plus 11.5, and so did the market. It's now 10 or 10.5, but I was afraid to bet it. Is there anything for you here?
No, there's nothing for me here because I don't have a ton of faith in Miami, especially with the fact that you still don't know who's starting at quarterback for them. And I can't be sitting here laying money with Cincinnati ever. So I'm off.
Yeah, understandably so. Understandably so. Let's just take a quick look at what these team totals are before we move on. 15.5 for the Bengals, 27.5 for the Dolphins. And Swervin is saying Tua is starting. Deanna Smith saying Tua is starting. Dan Kelly said this is an in-game bet if you want to bet it. See who's quarterback and how he's playing and hope you get an early Cincy score. Then you can bet the fish. Real Jolly Roger said Dolphins head coach won and started, but I think he's starting Tua. All right. Let's roll. Great to see you, Ben. Deanna, Bleds. Okay, let's move on to the next spot on the card. This was our double up, and this will also be an addition for me. I expect as soon as I break down this spot with you that I will be on this under 23.5 team total on the Texans. I actually meant to put that in before the show started. It's juiced to minus 125 now. We doubled up on the Colts, Bebsy. I feel very good about it. But the 3.5s are back to 3s, which scared me. It made me think maybe there was something going on with Outry or DeForest Buckner or Jonathan Taylor or Ryan Kelly, but all 4 are back. It's just Okereke that remains out. Colts coming off 45-26 loss at home to the Titans. 7-4, 3-2 on the road. The most lopsided loss this season. They still have won 4 of their past 6. As a team, they ran just 21 times for 56 yards. Nyheim Hines, he's so dangerous out of the backfield as a receiver, but as a main rusher, he really isn't. They've scored 35 points on opening possessions this year, tied for 7th in the league. T.Y. Hilton coming off his first good game of the year. Safety Kari Willis, offensive tackle Anthony Costanzo, punter Rigoberto Sanchez are all out. Offensive tackle Chaz Green's listed as questionable. Do you still feel bullish here on our spot with the Colts?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit too much love going the Texans' way recently from beating bad teams. And the Colts are just a better team, and they're going to bounce back after an awful week, missing some of their stars. And I hate that there's so much money on the Colts, and this line has really moved back down to 3. That's my apprehension here, but I still just love it. And I like you. I think you mentioned the team total under there for the Texans, 23.5.
Yes.
I'm going to jump on that as well. I just don't see how the Texans are going to move the ball against this Colts defense today.
For that team total under. I agree. I think this is an angry Colts squad. 79% of the cash on the Colts, 76% of the tickets, and we are dealing with a 3, not a 3.5. That's concerning. But Aaron maybe also on the Colts. Mad Capper says you Colts bettors will be sorry. Let's talk about the Texans. 1-2 straight for the first time this season. Extra rest and preparation after that 41-25 win in Detroit on Thanksgiving. They lose Will Fuller and Bradley Roby to suspensions for PEDs, which has to have hurt the locker room. Deshaun Watson has 15 touchdowns, no interceptions last 6 games. Threw 4 touchdowns last week. David Johnson expected to return after missing 3 games with a concussion. CJ Prosise had a touchdown last week and is out with an illness. That's not COVID. Swervin taking the Deshaun prop over 26.5 yards. Die Hard MMA podcast taking the Nyheim Hines prop. And Brandon Cooks is going to become the number 1. Can he do it? The linebackers have looked quite good for the Texans the last couple weeks. Whitney Merciless sack, defended the pass last week. Terrell Adams tied a franchise record with 17 tackles, forced 2 fumbles against the Lions. Linebacker Zach Cunningham leads the NFL with 110 tackles. Linebacker Nate Hall had a career-high 2 sacks, forced his first fumble of his career last week. Safety Justin Reed has a sack in his last 2 straight games. They're playing well, but I just see this as an angry Colt squad. I'm a little uncomfortable being so heavy on the public side. Bebsy, we are going to add the team total for the Texans under.
Yeah, and I think I'm a little nervous adding this much action in one game, but I like Swervin's look on the Deshaun over rush yards because, I just see him dropping back to pass. No one's open. Tuck it and run. He's got no one to throw to. Is DeAndre Hopkins playing? Oh, that's right. They traded him for fucking nothing.
Deshaun Watson, 26.5 rush yards. You want it?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on that too. Going to tail Swerve's bet there.
Yeah, I get it. I'm a little hesitant just because you have to think that there's got to be a spy on him, as that's a real serious way that he can hurt this team, but it makes sense. Okay, there you go. 4 bets on one game for Bebsy. Just 3 for me. We both doubled up on the Colts first half full game. All right, let's move on to Jaguars Vikings. Jags Vikings. This total opened up at 50.5. It's now 51.5. Vikings opened up at -9. They're now at -10 or 10.5. And this could cost me, but I am going to take the Vikings in the Survivor pool. I know it's getting cute not using the Seahawks and saving them for next week, but that's what I plan to do. Or I've already sent it in, so that's what I'm doing. U.S. Bank Stadium, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Jacksonville coming off a 27-25 loss at home to the Browns. Loss prompted the firing of Dave Caldwell by Shad Khan. Are you surprised that they're sticking with Mike Glennon when we've been told Gardner Minshew is healthy and could be in?
Yeah, that seems odd to me because you almost feel like I guess they've already sold on the fact that Minshew is going to be the quarterback of the future there. Like if they're leaving Glennon in, what then becomes Minshew? I don't understand the play if he's healthy. It's not like Mike Glennon was so spectacular that you can't possibly bench him after last week. But I don't know. Maybe they're trying to complete the tank here.
It is very strange. That was the only thing I took from it, is that they want Trevor Lawrence and they want to only have one loss on their card and hope that the Jets can squeeze a win out of that. It was very, very, very confusing. 20 of 35, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't off. It wasn't bad. James Robinson continues to roll. 890 rushing yards. He's 3rd in the NFL. This team has got a lot of injuries. Defensive tackle Devon Hamilton, knee injury, injured reserve. Linebacker Dakota Allen, ankle injury, out. Cornerback DJ Hayden, injured reserve. DJ Shark will be back in the lineup. Sidney Jones, their cornerback, out with an Achilles injury. Linebacker Kamale Correa, out with a hamstring injury. Safety Jared Wilson, wide receiver Chris Conley, offensive tackle Jawan Taylor listed as questionable. Minnesota coming off 28-27 win at home over the Panthers. Kirk Cousins, 34, 45, 307 yards, 3 TDs, 0 interceptions. Game-winning touchdown drive. Over the last 5 games, he leads the NFL with a 124.3 passer rating. They're getting Adam Thielen back from COVID. Now, does it concern you? I mean, I know that you're not moving on the Vikes here, but they lose to Dallas and needed a late rally to get past Carolina at home over the last 2 weeks. Those two teams have a combined 7-16 record. Do you think they're vulnerable here?
Yeah, I think they're vulnerable every week. I'm not a big backer of the Vikings. I know Kirk Cousins has been playing great lately, and I'm not going to say great. Kirk Cousins has been playing very good lately. So I have a little more stock in them. They seem to kind of be getting it together on defense, but I feel they're a very difficult team to bet. I have no interest in playing them this week. It's too big of a spread for me to back them. If you did give me a free play, though, I'd probably take the Jags, even with Mike Glennon at the helm.
What do you think of this total? I actually had some interest. In the over. I still don't hate it. What do you think of the total here?
Sorry, what were we at for this total?
It's at 51.5. This is probably not the move to make here. Vikings,
I can't.
1.5. Yeah. Nothing interests you. No moves here, Betsy?
No, nothing for me in this game. Kudos to you if you want to jump on it.
No, I'm not going to. Let's move on to Raiders Jets. Raiders opened up as 7.5-point favorites. This moved to 9.5. So this was 9.5 from the 3rd until 6 o'clock on the 4th. Excuse me. Yeah, until 6 o'clock on the 4th. Then 8.5, and now 7.5. The market move probably had something to do with Jacobs being out. Raiders 6-5, 4-2 on the road at the Jets, 0-11, 0-6 at home, MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, 42 Fahrenheit, sunny, 12 miles per hour. Raiders coming off a disastrous 43-6 loss at the Falcons. most lopsided loss since 2014. Derek Carr committed a career worst 4 turnovers. He's fumbled 8 times on his 17 sacks this season. Can you believe that? At 50% of the time he gets sacked, the ball goes flying.
That's terrible.
That's unbelievably bad. Unbelievably bad. You think those eyebrows might help, but no. Oh, season worst, 11 penalties for 141 yards last week. Hunter Renfrow matched a career high with 7 catches last week for 73 yards. Leads Vegas receivers with 38 catches for 509 yards. They're going to be without Josh Jacobs, also without safety Jonathan Abram. Jacobs 5th in the NFL, 782 rushing yards. But we have Devontae Booker, who's been very good this year. Will he be good as the number 1 option? They also have Jalen Richard and Theo Reddick. Raiders haven't had nearly as much success on the ground in the last 2 weeks. So they were second in the league with an average of 190.7 yards rushing per game through a 3-game winning streak, weeks 8 to 10. And then the last 2 weeks, 40 yards against the Falcons, 89 yards against the Chiefs. They're going to be without defensive tackle Millie Collins, who's headed to IR. Quarterback Trayvon Mullen has an illness that's not COVID-related. Defensive tackle Maurice Hurst, ankle and calf. And cornerback Isaiah Johnson are all listed as questionable. Is this a spot here? Is this a Jets cover spot?
I don't know. I did kind of like the value in the Raiders before I realized Jacobs and Jonathan Abram are out. Jonathan Abram is so important to that secondary. That guy is fun to watch. He plays reckless. He flies all over the field. I love watching that kid play. Him being out hurts this play for me. I was almost ready to jump on Vegas with this line being bet down, but now that I see that side of it, yeah, I don't think there's ever value in the Jets, Jimmy, to be honest with you. I know that they've had some covers that are, surprising to take, but I don't see it. I still see Raiders or nothing in this, but I don't like it. Not with Jacobs out, not with Abram out.
Yeah. Jay talking about maybe the Vegas team total over. I don't know if I like that even without Jacobs. It's 28.5. It's not a bargain. Let's talk about.
Won't be at the game. What is that? Gruden's not there.
Why would Gruden not be there? That's the first I've heard of this.
I don't know. Johnny DeChico.
Johnny telling us that. Yeah, I don't have that anywhere.
COVID, he's saying. Gruden's got COVID?
I mean, he had COVID, before the season started. So you're saying he got it again? All right. Okay, Jets coming off yet another ugly loss, this time at 23 at home to the Dolphins. Darnold's been bad. 16-27, 197 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So in his return from the shoulder injury that sidelined him 2 games, he just hasn't thrown a TD pass his last 4 games. Frank Gore, season high 74 yards on 18 carries. Jets last in the NFL in third down conversions at 31.43%. 3 of 13 against the Dolphins. Quinnen Williams has been good. 1.5 sacks, 7 tackles, 2 pass defense, and a 4th fumble last week. Leads the Jets with 5 sacks. Their offensive line was a complete mess last week. It should be better. Fant and Elfine are questionable to go, but they should have Alex Lewis back. All right. Yeah, nothing on Twitter regarding Gruden. So, no move here. Bebsy, what do you think of this total that's sitting at 47 and 47.5 for 48?
I think there's some value in the under here, given the way the Raiders have played as of late and the fact that the Jets are the Jets. But again, it's a spot where if the Raiders do bounce back, they could absolutely go off. I worry about that because Josh Jacobs not being in. I wonder if there's a Devontae Booker rush prop at 66.5 that is somewhat appealing because I don't know who else is going to be getting carries for them today.
They still have Jalen Richard and Theo Riddick.
Yeah, no, I realize they have other players. I just wonder how much they're going to go to the Booker well, or is it going to be the Devontae Booker show, or are they? I'm not going to jump on it. It just popped out at me, but I don't know if they're going to treat him like a RB1.
Difficult to figure out exactly what these Raiders are, but I think that the Jets are the spot here at plus 7.5. I just hate the fact that I could have got such a better line throughout the week. When did this turn to 7.5 from 8? Let me just check very quickly here.
Apparently, David Sharp saying that Devontae Booker rush prop was at 51, and now it's up to.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's when the announcement that Jacob's not going to be at all in the lineup. Wow. Yeah, enough touchdowns says your IC last week with the Raiders. Okay, let's move on to – I don't need to pull the trigger there. Let's move on to Saints-Falcons. This should be fun. This is my first of 5 unders on the card. I got the under 46. Birdie says Booker hasn't been getting meaningful reps last 4 games. I'd be surprised if Booker got 20-plus reps today. Cash Action says Falcons and the under. Jimmy Gomez is on these New Orleans Saints. Let me just move over here and see what we are dealing with. Sorry, there we go. Saints open up at -3, heavily juiced. That's down to 2.5. This total opened up at 47.5. It's now at 45.5. I got it at 46. Saints coming off their 8th straight win, 31-3, beat down the Broncos that had no quarterback. Taysom Hill didn't do much, didn't have to. As a team, they rushed 44 times for 229 yards. Latavius Murray ran 19 times for 124 yards. One of the mistakes I've made over the last few weeks is not taking these Kamara receiving yards under. I mean, the guy's just – Taysom Hill's just not giving the ball, and I'm sure it's probably not available anymore. Receiving yards, where is it? Kamara at 20.5. The guy's not getting any. Is this the one game where he breaks? I guess I'm too late to the party. You don't want to be too late to the party and early for the funeral.
Or you bet the other way. You say he gets over.
And the guy's got – how many passes he caught in the last 3 games?
All the more reason why he's going to catch him this game.
What how do you figure that?
Well, eventually, Sean Payton's got to yell at Taysom Hill and be like, "Yo, this guy, he's pretty good at receiving. Throw him the damn ball."
Michael Thomas led the receiving corps with 4 catches for 50 yards. Saints won 2 straight games since Breeze down with a rib injury. They're 7-0 without Breeze, dating back to last season. And the Falcons get this second look at Hill. They have to be better this time. Saints' best ranked defense in the NFL, hold top 5 spots against both the run and the pass. They've allowed 1 touchdown in the last 4 games, giving up a total of 28 points. Defensive end Marcus Davenport, cornerback Janoris Jenkins are out. So is Ty Montgomery, the backup running back. Cornerback Patrick Robinson and wide receiver Deontay Harris are questionable. Falcons coming off their most complete performance of the season, 43-6 rout of the Raiders, forced 5 turnovers, dominated from the opening kickoff. Atlanta 4-2 under Raheem the Dream Morris. Julio Jones and Todd Gurley are questionable, but a lot of people expect them to be in the lineup. Defensive end Dante Fowler and quarterback Kendall Sheffield are questionable. The only Atlanta player who definitely won't play is offensive guard James Carpenter, and Olamide Zaccheaus has moved to the IR. Any interest in making a move in this spot?
No, because I think it's a tough spot for the better team that is the Saints because of the game they played last week. The last week's game was a farce. And so I just think it's a difficult spot to play Atlanta, a divisional opponent, second time this season. So to be honest with you, it's Atlanta or no play, and I think you're crazy to back the Falcons in this. So for me, no play, free play, I take the Falcons, but I have no interest in this spot. I hate so much about this game.
I like the under. I think there's going to be some nice defense here, and I'm going to need the Saints to step up defensively. Let's just take a quick peek at what the team totals are here. We have Atlanta at 20.5, Saints at 23.5. Die Hard says Falcons letdown spot after last week. I got Saints. The only reason why I don't know if that's the case, it's just because of the beatdown the Saints gave them just, 2 short weeks ago. So that's the reason why. If that wasn't the situation, and Dylan Turner giving Dan Kelly love. All right, let's move on. And richly deserved love, Dan. We love you. OG Lowbragger, Dan Kelly. All right, Browns, Titans, Nissan Stadium. This was the spot that Dan Kelly brought up at the beginning of the show. Cleveland, Tennessee. This total sitting at 53, Bebsy. 53. And Dan Kelly saying in the game we know where there's going to be run after run after run after run. Is that too many? Nashville, Tennessee, 51 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, just 3 miles per hour is the wind. 8-3 Browns, 8-3 Titans. This is the the best Browns start since '94. They're looking to get in the playoffs the first time since 2002. They've won 3 straight by just 10 points, combined 10 points. Against Philadelphia, Houston, and Jacksonville, that's not impressive. But when it was Cleveland 6, I should have pulled the trigger. It's all the way down to 4 now. So Browns average, this top 2 rushing offenses, as was talked about off the top. Browns average league best 161.4 yards per game with Chubb and Hunt. Derrick Henry is the Titans' number 2. And Myles Garrett returns. Mayfield was 19-29, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns last out. Hasn't thrown an interception in 5 games. Browns have gone 4-1 over that stretch. Jarvis Landry stepped up in a big way last week. Browns will be without Ronnie Harrison. Probably out for the rest of the regular season. Denzel Ward, calf injury. He's out. They picked up Cedric Thompson on waivers, but he can't play yet for what I don't know why exactly that is. Wide receiver Tywan Taylor and Kadarrell Hodge are also out. Center Nick Harris and defensive tackle Vincent Taylor are questionable. Debsy, before we get into the Titans, talk about your thoughts regarding player props in this.
Well, this is the thing I mentioned to you before the show. I don't think I'm actually going to – I talked about possibly – laying 4 rush props in the same game. But I think I'm going to lay off the Tannehill prop. I was going to take Ryan Tannehill at 10.5, but I'm just not. This seems like I'm just getting out of hand. But Chubb's at 83.5. Kareem Hunt is at 49.5, and I'm going to double up, as I've done a couple of times, because I think one covers the other, and so far they've been both hitting. And I hate to say it, I'm going to go against Turnsey here, and I'm going to take the over on the Derrick Henry rush prop, just because, again, I think this is going to be a run game all day, and that's just what Derrick Henry does.
Yeah. Casey Koenig looking at the live over. Starts with a couple punts. All right, so are you moving on all 3?
I'm going to move on all 3.
All right. Can you give me the numbers and I'll fill them in?
Yeah, these are all on 365. I got Chubb at 83.5.
And it's all minus 120?
Minus 120.
All right. Hunt?
Kareem Hunt 49.5 at minus 120. And Derrick Henry, 99.5, also at minus 120.
99.5. This is a high prop. Wow. Very interesting. Arthur Meade Jr. in the house. Great to see Arthur. He's on the Tannehill under passing, 260.5 yards. Slats 45 says, pound that rock, Bebsy.
Love back in my running backs. What can I say?
It's been very successful for you. All right. James Woodruff looking at Landry over 4.5 receptions. Yeah, you have to think that's up. You have to. Don't you? Let me look at that right now. 4.5? Oh, shoot. Sorry. Still on the Saints. Let me move over to that. 4.5? Seems too low. Player receptions. 4.5, and it's juiced to the under? How could that be?
I wonder if that's just because he went off last week.
Yeah, and I have that rule about after a career day. Robert Allen in the house. Great to see you. Okay, so I'm going to stay off that. Real Jolly Roger says Titans on their playoff push. AJS is on Titans money line. Sean Schmidt looking at that Dalvin Cook over rushing yards. Birdie says tough spot for the Titans here. Line dropping way too much here for it not to be respected. Says Browns money line in play. Okay. So if I gave you a free $500 bet on the total at 53, what would you do, Bebsy?
I'm with Dan, being that I don't see it going over just because I don't see them airing this ball out. Like, I see ground and pound all day.
Well, it's at 53 then. Why don't we bet the under if we feel that way?
I told you, Jimmy, because I'm a coward.
Is it because you don't trust these defenses?
No, I don't think that's it. I just feel like every single Cleveland game as of late has been hitting the under. But, I don't know. Like,
yeah. Cash action's on the under. Let's see where the money is on this game. Let me see if that will help us. Here we go. Titans. Where are you? Titans, Browns. We have 65% of the cash on the over, 56% of the tickets on the over. And Sean Schmidt, you're right. It did hit in that 27-25 when the over did hit for the last game of the Browns.
The fact that Denzel Ward is out does also make me nervous about this because Tannehill can just air it out to him.
AB says, seems like the books are begging you to hit the under. William Hagmeister says, no greedy, no Denzel Ward, air raid. And that's the reason why the bet probably can't be made because of that. Dewan Turntine saying bet the over trust because they both run sufficient. The defense will key in and pass will be open. Okay, I've got 5 unders. I don't need to reach for them. Swerving on Chubb over 1.5 receptions at plus 140. Those are the 1 p.m. games. Best bet. I mean, we're both heavy on the Colts. Or do you like those rushing props in that Browns-Titans game better than the Colts?
No, I'm sticking with the Colts in this one. I do love my double up rush props, though.
Well, you've done it twice so far this year. I went with you on one of them. You are 2-0 on the double ups, 4-0 if you break them down as the single bets. Okay, let's move on to 405 action here, and we start with the Giants, Seahawks, and we still don't know about DJ, and he's doubtful, so I don't expect him. But the market's telling you he's not going to be there. Seahawks open up at minus 7.5. They're now minus 10, 10.5 or 11. This total has dropped from 48 to 47. And if it's Colt McCoy, then do the Giants get to their team totals? I mean, Colt McCoy just can't move the ball. Seahawks will know that, though, but the team totals at 16.5. And the cash action bet saying Jones is out. And it is Colt McCoy. Okay, so McCoy, 10 passes for 31 yards after stepping in for Jones last week. Gallman's look good. 24 carries, 94 yards, touchdown 5 straight games. That's the longest streak since Saquon Barkley scored 5 straight in 2018. 50 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 9 miles per hour in Washington is the wind. And Bradbury is going to have a chance to go up against Metcalf. That's not going to be easy. David Mayo, linebacker, is questionable. And Giants have put themselves at 4-7. They've won 3 straight. AJS says, is Dunlap playing? Let's talk about the Seahawks on a short week after beating the Seahawks 23-17 on Monday. Russell Wilson, 22-31, 230 yards, 1 touchdown. DK Metcalf, 10 catches for 177 yards. Chris Carson looked good, 8 rushes for 41 yards and caught 2 passes for 18 yards. Seattle's defense entered the game allowing the most yards in the NFL, most passing yards. They held Philly's inept offense at 250, 6 sacks. They had just 9 sacks for the first 6 games. Then they get Dunlap and Jamal Adams comes back from injury, and they start rolling. Now, it is unclear if Dunlap will be available due to a foot injury. Brandon Shell inactive as well with an ankle injury. Running back Travis Homer, running back Carlos Hyde, offensive tackle Cedric Ogbuehi, Damian Lewis, their guard, and center Kyle Fuller. All this is questionable. Any interest in this spot, Bebsy? Because the way I see it, if it's McCoy, Russell Wilson will know that he doesn't have to risk much. There's no point in risking. If that is the case, then there's 2 props that I would have somewhat interest in. One is the passing yards under 280.5. I would have interest there. And I'd also have interest in rush yards for Carson over 58.5. What do you think of those 2 props? And is there anything you're interested in?
I like that a lot, especially with the way Carson ran last week. And I'm going to add one to you. If Colt McCoy's starting, you have to expect that the game plan is run the ball, especially with the way Gallman's been running lately, and his rush prop is 53.5. So I think that's in play, and I agree with your Carson look as well. Carson looked great after being out some time with the injuries back, and he was running mean, and Seattle looked better because of it. And I agree with you. I don't think they take a ton of risks because of the fact that Colt McCoy is on the other side of the ball. So, very much in play that Carson look, and I think the Gallman look is in play as well.
What did you think of the Russell Wilson under? Do you think Bradbury has the size to match up against DJ Metcalf?
No, because I really don't. I don't think there's that many guys who do. There's very few players in the league that are big enough and strong enough and skilled enough. I don't think there's all those components. DK is just very, very tough to shut down. You need to be a premier, and Bradbury's very good. I just don't think he's in that category of guys who can shut down DK Metcalf.
I think both. I just feel like this is a spot where Seattle will know that they don't need to risk. There's no point in risking. I think the under 280.5 receiving or passing yards. I think both quarterbacks under 219.5 for Colt McCoy. Don't you even think that's a little high for Colt McCoy?
I kind of think 100 is high for Colt McCoy. Poor Colt McCoy. I don't want this show to turn into a shit on Colt McCoy show. Poor guy.
All right. I'm going to pull the trigger on this. I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to take both quarterbacks for under. I'm going to take McCoy under 219.5. I'm going to take Russell Wilson under 280.5. And then I'm going to take – come on, hurry here. And then I'm going to take the Chris Carson rushing yards over 58.5. What do you want to do here?
I think I'm going to jump on those 2 rush props. I'm going to jump on Wayne Gallman at he's at 53.5, and I'm going to tail your Carson play there with him at 57.5.
Is it 57? Why do I have 50? 58.5. Okay. 58.5. All right. I like it.
Also, I had made a note here. Sorry to jump back on a game we were talking about earlier.
No problem.
I made a note on Tuesday about Carr's passing props. And I think I'm going to add 2 plays here on this.
All right.
I'm going to add the Derek Carr. Am I at 258.5?
Are you going over or under?
I'm going to take that over, and I'm going to take the over in that game as well.
Over 258.5 yards for Carr. Minus 120. And you're going to take the full game over in the Raiders. So let's do some line shopping. Head over to odds.com, shall we? Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's head over to odds.com and get you the total and see what we are dealing with. We are coming up to noon Eastern, so we got an hour and 7 minutes before kickoff, and we are adding action. The over in the Raiders-Jets, I can get you a 46.5 at minus 108 or 47 at plus 100.
I'll take the 46.5.
Over 46.5 minus 108. And that is available at FanDuel. Jesus. Wow. Unbelievable. I wrote it in so you get it, but that's gone.
Damn.
FanDuel just moved it to 48. Now there's a 47.5 available at BetMGM. But I wrote it in. So you get it. Wow. That total is flying up as we speak in Raiders Jets. There's Nilo in the house. Jay Gunn, Rick Martinez. Okay, Rick Martinez talking about the Bengals Dolphins total. Wasn't that down at 44.5 or 42? Excuse me, 42.5. It's actually climbing up to 43. There's a reason why that number is so low, but I expect Brandon Allen to take some risks out there. I'm hesitant. I think that it's a tight number. Bebsy, if you had a free bet on the total of the Bengals Dolphins at 42.5, do you go over or under?
I don't know. My gut's saying over, but yeah, free play, I take the over in that.
Wow. And it's 48. Strategic Investment says 48, that total. Wow. That changed as I was writing it in. Okay. Let's keep rolling. We're at the 4:05 games. We just made a bunch of moves on the Giants Seahawks. I'm taking the under in McCoy and Wilson pass yards and the over in Carson rush yards. Bebsy's on the Gallman and Carson over rush yards. Okay, let's move on to Rams-Cardinals. Rams-Cardinals, State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. Rams 7-4, 3-3 on the road. Cardinals 6-5, 3-2 at home. Let's see what we are dealing with here from a market perspective. Rams open up as 1.5-point favorites, now 2.5-point favorites. This total sitting at 48.5. And I moved on the under. Rams coming off disappointing 23-20 loss at San Francisco. Fourth straight loss to the Niners. Goff 19-31, 198 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, lost a fumble, 10 turnovers in his last 4 games. That includes 4 fumbles. Rams have dominated this series. 6 straight wins for them in this series. They've also won 5 straight games in Arizona. Rams have allowed an NFL low 17 points per game. Only one team has allowed fewer than their 297 yards per game. Opponents have only scored 4.4 points per game in the second half against them. 9th in the NFL in yards rushing at 1371. 18th in yards per pass attempt at 4.2. Then back to their defense. They lead the league with 32 3-and-outs forced. NFL low, 11 touchdown passes allowed. Jalen Ramsey's expected to be healthy, so he's going to be, either on Hopkins or Fitzgerald. And then the Cardinals coming off 2017 loss in New England. New England won the game despite finishing with 179 yards. They just took advantage of the Cardinals' mistakes, and they slowed this Cardinals offense down. And as we talked about for the last 2 weeks, is Kyler Murray hurting? Is his shoulder hurting from that hit he took in Seattle? Is he afraid to run? Because this number 2 offense in total yards does not look very good. He ran for a season-low 15 yards against the Seahawks and then 31 yards against the Patriots. Both games were losses. Isaiah Simmons has 25 tackles over his past 5 games and a sack in each of his past 2. Safety Jalen Thompson out. Defensive end Angelo Blackson out. Questionable. Defensive tackle Rashard Lawrence, questionable. Safety Charles Washington, questionable. Bebsy, Rams, Cardinals, take it away.
For me, I see the chat is heavily on the Rams, and to me that makes sense. The Rams are coming off a tough divisional loss, and really, top to bottom, they're the better football team. I agree with you, Jimmy. We'll see this week. It will be very telling with Kyler Murray to just see how injured he is or how tentative he is, because like last week he really looked like he did not want to get hit, and this is a guy who normally avoids hits very well and did again last week, but he looked scared last week. Normally he just looks like he's doing it out of self-preservation, very aware that he's not a big man. So this is Rams or no play. I find these divisional games, especially when these two teams they're evenly matched. Again, I do think the Rams are a better football team, but it's such a tough call with these all-important divisional games. I mean, Arizona has to win. If they lose today and the Niners win, this is crazy to say, but the Niners are the last wild card spot then, if that's what happens today.
That would be wild if the Niners could slide in somehow. This total at 48.5, I'm on the under. It had gone down. It's back up to 48.5. That's where I got it at. What do you think of the spot I'm on?
I like this under too, just because of these, again, divisional opponents. It's I just feel like this is going to be a very tight slugfest. Damon Santori, Chandler Jones is out for the season. That is correct.
Do you want to move on the under? We have Intex saying both these teams profitable to the under. Rams 8-3, Cardinals 7-3-1.
Yeah, I am gonna. I had this written down on Tuesday. I had a question mark beside it. I wanted to see where it would go. It didn't move too much. It went down and back up. I am going to take this under.
Yeah, back at 48.5. You can't get a minus 109, though. Oh, excuse me. 1 minus 107. Bet Rivers. I'm not going to go to the Kyler Murray under rush yards. Again, I just don't want to be late to the party. It was available the last 2 weeks. Should have taken it, didn't take it. I'm not going to take it in week 3. Under 48.5 for Bebsy. That's at Bet Rivers at minus 107. And I'm already on it at 48.5. Okay, let's keep rolling. We move to the 4:25 p.m. spot. Eagles, Packers. Eagles 3-7-1, 1-4 on the road. Packers 8-3, 4-1 at home. Breets beats moving on the cards. I see you, Breets. Hope all's good, my man. Eagles, Packers. Packers open up at -7. There's a couple 7.5s. There are 8s. This total shot up from 46.5 to 49.5. Wonder what the Eagles team total is in this spot. Eagles.
David Sharp, you are correct. I was wondering about Ramsey's availability on Tuesday.
Yeah, and he's good to go for this matchup.
Yeah, him being in just helps that under.
Packers, Eagles, Lambeau Field, 34 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 6 miles per hour. Eagles coming off the ugly 23-17 loss at home on Monday night. And, for those of you that lost, or depending on when you came in, because 5.5 it opened, a lot of guys gone in at 6.5 on the Seahawks. It was absolute bullshit. It shouldn't – the clock wasn't moving 4 separate times. And I watched clips on it 4 separate times. They didn't start the clock on time. And that gave 45 extra seconds to the Eagles. And that stuff just must drive you fucking nuts. Eagles could only muster 250 yards of offense. That includes that prayer Hail Mary that got them to cover. Lower third of NFL teams in points per game. They're 25th. Third down efficiency, 27th. Fourth down efficiency, 29th. Carson Wentz leads the NFL in 19 turnover spot, 15 interceptions. Defensive end Brandon Graham leads the team with 7 sacks. Graham's playing well. 155 games. What a baller. Defensive tackle Fletcher Cox has a sack in 4 straight. Defensive end Derek Barnett had a sack and 2 tackles for a loss for Seattle. The defense has just 3 picks all year, minus 10 in the turnover differential. Lane Johnson done for the season with an ankle injury. Rudy Ford inactive last week, out this week. Wide receiver Quez Watkins out, and cornerback Darius Slay is listed as questionable. I took the under here. Do you agree with this market move from 46.5 up to 49?
No, I don't really get that market move. It feels like this should go under. Again, this is a terrible Eagles team and a Green Bay team that we've seen time and again. When they get up, they just run the ball. Or they do these little dink and dunk passes. We know Aaron Rodgers loves to get up and then game manage that. So, yeah, I mean, if I had a free play, I'd be taking the under in this.
Yeah, I wish I had the balls to double up now that it's gone up to 49.5. I don't. The cash here, Dan, in Philly, Green Bay, is 82% of the cash on the over. 79% of the tickets are on the over. 82% of the cash are on the Packers. 89% of the tickets are on the Packers. Sebastian Cornwell says, would you take the Eagles at plus 13? Yes, I would. But I wouldn't tease them there. I think it's a dangerous teasing spot. Okay, we just lost Bebsy. I'm sure he'll be right back. Maybe an internet issue there. So this total up to 49.5, and some of the leading indicator books have already moved it to 50. Eagles, Packers, I'm on the under, and it puts me in a bad spot with this market going all the way up. All right, let's keep rolling. David Sharp says, sounds like an under with all that money on the over. Yeah. Strategic investments with clear market moves has the over at 64% of the cash. 64% of the tickets, 75% of the cash. 64% of the tickets, 75% of the cash. What do I have? I have a little higher. Shane Schwader says Eagles will more than likely cover. Listen to what Jimmy just said. All the money's on the Packers. Vegas not letting Packers cover. Anything you want to add? Alex Ramirez says Jimmy, Eagles won't move the ball. Blackdoor King, our guy Blackdoor King, he's on the Eagles team total under, which I am interested in. But I was lucky that in that Packers-Bears game, I wanted to take the Bears team total under, and Bebsy talked me off of it. After 3 quarters, I wished I'd been on it, and then the Packers let go and allow a late couple touchdowns to the Bears, and that could easily happen here. That's what will keep me off that team total under. Do you want to make a move on anything here, Bebsy?
No, there's some guys who brought up the Miles Sanders rush props. I'm not going to jump on it just because the guy hasn't been able to stay healthy, and that O-line has just been battered down. But I understand why you would see value in that. And, again, if you gave me a free play, I would take the Miles Sanders over. I think it's 63.5. So those in the chat who are looking at that, yeah, I like it. I get it. I'm not going to jump on it with you. But if I was going to make a bet in this game, that would be it. I can't put money on the Eagles. And Green Bay is let down in a lot of spots where they should pound it. So I would be against the public in this, but I ain't putting any money on the Eagles.
No. If I had a free play, I'd probably move in the Philadelphia direction, although it's Not a smart thing to do. Let's talk about the Packers here just before we move on. Coming off the 41-25 win at home over the Bears. Lead the NFL in scoring at 31.7 points. Lead in time of possession, 32-56. Zadarius Smith has a sack in 3 of his last 4 games, but he's dealing with an ankle injury. He's listed as questionable. He's expected to play. Aaron Jones, 624 rush yards. Jamal Williams, 409. Robert Tonyan has been a beast. 5 catches and a touchdown each of his last 2 games. And a big issue with the Packers is Corey Linsley, and we talked about it. He left with a knee injury in the first half, didn't return, suffered an MCL sprain. We didn't know what the extent of that, but they put him on injured reserve. So he's out for at least 3 weeks. All right, let's move on to the Patriots-Chargers at SoFi. Let's move there next up. Patriots-Chargers. Chargers open up at -1 now, then -1.5. This totals at 47. Public betting overs on all of these games at this point. Patriots coming off 2017 win at home over the Cardinals. They held Arizona's top-ranked offense to 298 yards from their average of 414, but they managed just 178 yards of offense. They've committed just 42 penalties this season. Man, Belichick just scares the shit out of guys. Gets them playing smart, I guess is the word. The Patriots have been outscored 56-21 in the first quarter this year. Cam Newton coming off a career low 23.6 passer rating in that win over Arizona. 9 of 18 for just 84 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Patriots have 17 rushing touchdowns through 11 games. That's 3rd in the NFL behind Saints and Cardinals. New England's defense has 12 interceptions in 2020. J.C. Jackson's been a big part of that. But J.C. Jackson is questionable with a hip injury. Cam Newton is expected to play, but he's got an abdomen injury. J.J. Taylor, quadricep injury. Tight end Ryan Izzo, hamstring injury, questionable. Nick Folk, their kicker's been dealing with a back injury for weeks. Jacob Johnson, fullback, questionable. Byron Cowart, defensive tackle, questionable. Adam Butler, defensive tackle, questionable. Kyle Duggar, safety, questionable. Matthew Slater, wide receiver, questionable. Shaq Mason, guard, questionable. They have a lot of injuries. Dennis Garcia says New England total opened at 49, so not really money on the over. No, you're right. I just mean like in the last 90 minutes, money's coming in on the over. What do you think of these Patriots before we get into the Chargers?
I think it's a bad team that's well coached, and they're overachieving. Now, the other team's a good team that's poorly coached. They're polar opposites as far as skill goes. One team is great on paper and has a terrible record. The other team is terrible on paper and has a better record than is representative of the talent on that team. I have a play in this one, and it's Chargers first half -0.5. Because I trust the Chargers in the first half, even though, I know Belichick's record against rookie quarterbacks, but Belichick has also had better teams to prop up that record. So I trust the Chargers in the first half. I do not trust the Chargers in the second half. So I can jump on this Chargers first half -0.5. I have no interest in the full game because I believe at some point the Chargers will be up by 10 in this and then somehow shit the bed.
I like this look. Look quite a bit.
I had written a question mark beside this one as well on Tuesday because it wasn't available the first half. Now it is, and I'm on it.
I can get you -0.5 at +100. Let's just see what the money line is. It's the
Casey, I don't trust the Chargers. I trust them that they're good enough to put up points early and then lose the game. So, yeah,
I can give you the money line, Bebsy, at -115, which would get you the push on the tie, or you could get the -0.5 at +100.
No, I'll take that money line.
All right, Chargers first half. -115. I came close to moving on the Chargers, very, very close on Tuesday. And I still feel, and there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about Lynn being a horrible coach. And I almost sobbed talking about the cash swing I had when the Chargers couldn't get over the goal line last week. But I just feel like we're getting value on the Chargers here because of that debacle. And I mean, if the Chargers won comfortably here by 7 points, that wouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Would that surprise you, Bebsy?
What's that?
If the Chargers won comfortably?
It wouldn't surprise me because they have the talent to. It's literally Anthony Lynn is getting in the way of this team. If you look at their record this year, you can flip half of those losses or more if you have a better coach. They have lost so many close games. Like, this is a playoff caliber football team.
I'm doubling up. I'm going to move on the Chargers. I just feel like I'm getting enormous amounts of value. And, you know, there's talk here in the chat from Ken Peacock talking about the abdominal injury to Cam. I mean, it was evident against the Cardinals that he was hurting. And I can understand this first half being a smarter play than the full game, but I think there's value on both. I'm doubling up on the Chargers. That's going to be an addition for me. First half, full game. Dan Kelly says Belichick crushes rookie quarterbacks. He does. There's no doubt about it. I think that
he absolutely does. But again, he crushes rookie quarterbacks in previous years when he had better teams. So yeah, you can't argue that Belichick does get up in the grill of rookie quarterbacks. I don't see that happening with this team against this quarterback.
Chargers coming off that ugly 27-17 loss at Buffalo. 3 points on their final 5 possessions. 3 that ended inside Buffalo's 30. Eckler returned last week after missing 6 games. He was dangerous. 125 yards or more in 3 of the 5 games he's played this season. Keenan Allen leads the NFL with 85 receptions and a TD catch in 5 straight games. Joey Bosa was awesome. 3 sacks last week. Safety Rashawn Jenkins, career high 11 tackles last week. Bulaga was active but did not play because of an illness. He's questionable this week, but I expect him to be there. He's not on the injury report. Denzel Perryman, questionable. Running backs Kalen Ballage and Troy Maine Hope. Cornerback Casey Hayward, wide receiver Joe Reed, and linebacker Uchenna Nwosu are all questionable. Okay, let's move on to our next spot. This is Sunday night action, Broncos Chiefs. And in my notes, I have weight on the under because it was just going up, and away. The only thing that scares me is that there's no wind whatsoever. It's cold, 35 Fahrenheit clear, but no wind at Arrowhead tonight. Broncos coming off that humiliating 31-3 loss over the Saints. Drew Lock will be back under center. Their best cornerback. You know what? I can't take the under. I'm going to take this weight under. Bryce Callahan's on injured reserve with a foot injury. So they're going to bring in a rookie cornerback, Asang Bassi, to start opposite A.J. Bouye. Wrong team. Jerry Jeudy, ankle expected to play. Phillip Lindsay, knee expected to play. Malik Reed, linebacker, questionable. Safety, Trey Marshall, out. Chiefs coming off 27-24 win at Tampa. 6th straight win. They completely dominated Tampa in the first half, let their foot off the gas. Tyreek Hill looked awesome. Sammy Watkins back from a hamstring injury. McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson. Now you have and Clyde Allaire is listed as questionable. Sick. Listed as questionable, sick right now. But, I mean, they have Le'Veon Bell sitting there. These Denver Broncos, 13.5-point dogs. This total has gone from 48.5 to 51.5. Bebsy, take it away here. Broncos, Chiefs, any interest?
Well, on Tuesday, I put in the first quarter.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you.
And I still like that play. I do wonder if the Broncos can score some garbage time points in this. They have been relatively decent in second halves this year. And, yeah, KC, we've seen them take their foot off the gas. They did last week. They've done it in a few games this year, so I like my bet, the value of this first quarter. I see Prince in the City is bullish on this, and yeah, I get it. I get why you would be. For me, I love this first quarter play, and I don't love much else. The first half isn't too bad. Where are we here? I think first half you can get -7s, which I also think is very doable. But now I'm going to stick with my first quarter bet. The full game, I would actually consider putting in Denver full game.
So would I, and I kind of am interested with Dennis's final score, 23-13. Dutch Boy Fresh is on the first half, -7. Yeah, Steve, we moved on the Texans team total under 23.5. It was 23.5, right? Or was it? Yeah, 23.5. But not a full game total play there. Yeah, I think I remember in Dennis Garcia talking about that first meeting, all Denver turnovers. You know, I understand why I was waiting. I just wish Callahan was there. I just wish Callahan was there. I wish I could get like a 53, 51.5. I don't hate. And the Chiefs will just, run the ball once they have that big lead and slow the clock down. And their drives are so long. I mean, even in that Bucs game, their drives in games, even in the Raiders game, let's say a game that soared over, their drives were so long that the under was in play until if that intentional grounding had been called, the under would have hit with 2 minutes left. It is going to be Drew Lock in Tex. Huh. Nice job, Hectic Hedgehog. That's a nice line. Okay. Is this a move, do you think, taking the under 51.5 here, Bebsy?
It's hard to take an under in a Chiefs game, in spite of what you just said, which I agree that you didn't say anything wrong. This is still a team that is capable of putting up points in bunches. So and I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with what Dennis Garcia is saying. I just the ability that both of these teams have to put up points makes me not want to take this under. I get it. I get why. I get the look, and I agree with the logic. It's just not a play for me.
I think David Sharp is right here, and it's a smart thing to say. He says, I'd wait if you want the under. The public will bet it up after they lose some money, and that's the only game on the board. I think he's right. I'm not gonna bet it right now. But if I see that hit up to 52.5, if it's 53, I'm betting it immediately. So I like what David Sharp's saying here. And agree. Okay, so let's keep rolling right now. And we move into the Monday nighter. Washington at Pittsburgh. Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 34 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 9 miles per hour. This total opened up at 42. It's now 43.5. Pittsburgh opens up at -8.5. It's now -7. For the first time under Ron Rivera, Washington has a 2-game winning streak. Now they came against Dallas and Cincinnati without their expected starting quarterbacks. But they're wins all the same. Defensive line looks strong. Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, Montez Sweat. 4 sacks against Dallas. They have 36, which ranks them second in the league. But they give up big plays. They've allowed 9 plays of 50 or more yards. Only the Chargers are worse. Antonio Gibson is rolling. If the Washington's initial 29 snaps, Gibson touched the ball in 16 of them. Finished with 20 carries for 115 yards. And our man, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast, Clint, just continually cashes with them. They have 0 points on 11 game opening drives. Steelers did not look good in that 19-14 win over the Ravens. They lose Dupree for the year. They were handling the Devin Bush injury. Now this. Alex Highsmith, a rookie, is going to try to fill in for Dupree the way Spillane was able to fill in for Bush. That's asking a lot. 3rd-round pick, Highsmith. Cornerback Steven Nelson underwent an MRI on his knee. We don't know when Pouncey will be back, and Pouncey and James Conner on the COVID reserve list. Bebsy, Washington, Pittsburgh, take it away.
I don't know. Look, there's value, I think, in taking Washington in this just because of the way they have been playing under Alex Smith. He's got them believing in him, believing in the I mean, odds-on favorite for comeback player of the year. And look, the Steelers have COVID questions. They are out of whack scheduling-wise because of this. It's the second time this year they've been screwed over. I just think it's a really tough spot for them. They're coming off a win where they should have bludgeoned the Ravens, and they didn't. They very it was just an ugly game that they ended up winning, but this Washington team is better than people have given them credit for, and they're sort of getting it together because of Alex Smith. So it's a tough spot to take them because, look, they are not the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are not that good, but there's value in taking them. So it's Washington or no play for me. It's a tough spot for the Steelers. It's not for Washington. This is Washington or no play.
Yeah. Would you prefer Washington first half rather than Washington full game?
No, because I don't know if Washington jumps out here. DeAndre Polk says Alex Smith stinks. Okay. Thanks for writing that. I don't know if first half excites me more than full game per se.
I think it excites me a little more. I just think that if you give Pittsburgh enough time. Clint says the under is live. What do you think of this total that's sitting at what's just 40? Sitting at 43.5.
I can see both teams struggling out of the gates here. So, I can see this. I mean, there might be more value on the first half under. I might like that look more than the full game under.
I'm going to take Washington first half +4. I think that's enough points for me. Mark Nicholson says it screams under. Okay, I'm going to take Washington first half +4.
I think I'm going to take the first half under in this one.
All right, let's get it for you. There's Anthony Mastronardi. We've missed you. Oh, no. I'm so sorry to hear that, Anthony. Anthony's dad's been in the hospital and really struggling. We send you so much love, Anthony. So sorry that you have to go through this. And, it's going to be on you to lead your family through this. And I know that you have that kind of strength. And just know that we're all praying for you guys and sending you as much light and positivity as possible. And we believe in you very, very much, Anthony, to show strength and to carry your family through this very difficult time. And, we all love you very much, man. That's tough. Okay, Bebsy, what is it that you're on? The first half under?
I'm going to take this first half under.
First half under. Let's go over to odds and get it for you. First half total. All right, this is the Monday nighter. First half under for Bebsy. Wow, 22.5 at FanDuel. Wow, I mean, what could I get on this first half under? That's nice. First half for me is at 21 at +100. Holy shit, you're getting 1.5 better than what I would get. Wow, got to take that right away. First half under 22.5 at minus. Oh, I'm saying I'm giving you the -120. Would you prefer to get less juice? The 21.5 is -115 anyway. So you're gonna stick with 22.5?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 22.5.
Under 20. I think that's a good look. If I could get that, I would bet that. If I could get that, I would bet that. Yeah, we haven't done it yet, Chase, my man. There's John Ryan in the house. Great to see you, John. Okay, let's move on to the night spot here on Monday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Bills, Niners, State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. See what we are dealing from a market perspective in this spot here. We have Buffalo opening up as a favorite and a decent size favorite. I believe it was 2.5. Let me just double check that. Wow. Bet365 opened this up as Bills -3. And now the Niners are 1-point favorites. The total's gone from 48 down to 47. Bills coming off 27-17 win at home over the Chargers. They're 6-23 in primetime games since 2000. They've lost 9 straight on Monday night, 0-2 in night games this year. Had 172 yards rushing last week. 19 sacks, 10 takeaways in the last 5 games after just 11-7 through the first 6. Stephon Diggs continues to roll, man. 7 catches last week. He has at least 6 catches in 8 straight games. Linebacker A.J. Klein was just all over the field last week. 14 tackles, sack and a half. Buffalo's a very healthy group. Niners coming off 23-20 win at home over the Rams. Mullins 24-35, 252 yards. They've relocated to Arizona. They got a huge boost from Deebo Samuel, 11 catches for 133 yards. Jamar Taylor left the field on a cart, leg injury, knee injury, injured reserve. Same with cornerback Ken Webster, injured reserve left on a cart. Quarterback Kawan Williams is out. Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley questionable with a hamstring injury. That's 4 players that are part of their secondary all hurt. Let's see what's going on with their injuries, and do you agree with this big market move towards them?
Look, the value is gone. Obviously, getting in on the Niners when they were 2.5-point dogs made more sense. I still believe they can win this game. They're also getting Brandon Ayuk back, so this is only, I think, the second time all season that we've seen Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel in the same game. But huge concerns at their nickel corner spot because K'Wan Williams has been hurt for a while. He's an absolute stud in that spot, is such an underrated player. And then Jamar Taylor was actually playing great for them. He tore his ACL last week. Emmanuel Mosley came into that game, played well, playing out of position at nickel, but now he's questionable. So that's something to keep an eye on. If Emmanuel Mosley can't go, I think they have to move safety Jimmy Ward there, and they might move Tarvarius Moore to Jimmy Ward's spot. So that's a big question mark as to whether or not they're going to have a healthy secondary, and that's going to have a major impact on this game. So tough spot. If you got in early on the Niners, I like it. I do think they can win this game. They are starting to get more and more pieces back. DJ Jones is back from the COVID list as well. I think I would still probably, if given a free play, put it on the Niners here. It's 2 weeks in a row where they've gotten some reinforcements, so that's good. But on the other side, you got a very good, very healthy Buffalo team. So do not dismiss them, especially given what the Niners are going through right now. They're now staying in hotels in Arizona. They now officially don't have a home field. So very tough spot with regards to that. But, they are getting pieces back, and this is a team that believes in themselves, and they back each other a lot. So hard to bet against them right here.
Question coming in from our man Birdie. He says, any worry that those Bills linebackers are healthy now? They're playing pretty fast. Any worry from Mullins?
Absolutely, but that's the thing is Kyle Shanahan is very aware of that, and they're going to run a lot of plays that just get that ball out quick. They're going to have to. So, yeah, Birdie, that's a astute concern, and you're absolutely right to have that. But I do think Kyle Shanahan will be very aware of that.
I have a question beside the under in this spot, Bebsy, from our breakdown. It's already moved from our breakdown on Tuesday. That's already moved from 48 to 47. If you had a free play, do you go under that 47 or over?
To be honest with you, I think I would go over. That's more of a gut feeling than anything, but I just think with the way this Niners offense is starting to get healthy, they're still missing some important pieces along that offensive line. And, of course, George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo still being out. But gut leaning over. Not super excited about it, to be honest.
And Raheem Mostert, what's his? Is he good to go?
He's good to go. Tevin Coleman's good to go, and so is Jeff Wilson Jr. So they have a healthy backfield. They have both their starting receivers. And to be honest with you, Jordan Reed has been filling in well in the passing game, and Ross Dwelly's been filling in well in the blocking game. So as much as not having Kittle on the field is huge, they do have players that are stepping up.
All right, we're going to get to best bets here in a second. Let's just touch on this Tuesday game at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Bebsy, I wonder if we should start our show on Tuesday 15 minutes earlier, just so then we can discuss all the moving parts with the Ravens and if we want to lock in a bet.
I'm down with that if you want to do that.
Might be worth doing it. But let's discuss right now what we know, and what we know is about the Cowboys. Coming off an extremely disappointing 41-16 loss at home to Washington. We'll get into best bets right after this. Zeke is looking bad. Rushed 10 carries for 32 yards. Their defense looked awful. Gibson put 115 yards on him. Washington as a team put up 182 yards on him. Donovan Wilson, safety, questionable with a groin injury. Anthony Brown, cornerback, ribs injury, questionable. Alden Smith, defensive end, he's sick and it's not COVID. Cameron Irving, offensive tackles, out. Zach Martin, guard, out. And Stephen Parker, safety, is questionable. And we just don't know. I mean, Lamar Jackson is eligible to come off of the COVID list on Monday. We need to see if he comes off tomorrow. If he does, he'll be good to start on Tuesday night. But, I mean, that's just a very, very important part. The Ravens played with a lot of heart in that 19-14 loss to the Steelers, but they're in a tough spot right now. Jimmy Smith, cornerback, is dealing with this groin injury. Calais Campbell still dealing with a calf injury. He's not on the COVID list, but he's questionable with the calf injury. Chuck Clark, the safety, questionable with a knee injury. And then you have Fluker, Deshaun Elliott. You have Broderick Washington, their defensive tackle, and Tremont Williams, cornerback, doubtful. Christian Welch, Devontae Harris, Jalen Ferguson, Brandon Williams, questionable. So, we just need more information here to give like a legitimate, thoughtful spot here. But I tell you what, Bebsy, right now with the Ravens is 8.5-point favorites. That surprises me. I mean, this even though the Ravens look good against the Steelers, Cowboys, if you want the Cowboys, I would take them right now because I don't see this. Even if Lamar Jackson is good to go with all these I guess I take that back. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but 8.5 seems like a nice number on the Cowboys regardless. Brittany says Campbell's trending to play Calais Campbell. What do you think here with this line at Cowboys 8.5-point dogs is total of 45?
Again, there's a ton of uncertainty. It's really hard to properly break down this game when you don't know who's playing. That Zach Martin injury, though, is huge. If he's out, we saw just how abysmal that offensive line is without him. They've had problems this year in general with Tyron Smith being out, with losing Jason Frederick to retirement. But you add losing Zach Martin to the mix, and there's nobody on that O-line. So if he's out and Campbell's in, this is going to be a beatdown for the Ravens, especially if Lamar Jackson is back. Even if he's not, I mean, QB controversy, Trace McSorley, come on, comes in, throws some dimes. I think this is more than likely going to be a Ravens smash. And I think I disagree with you. I think if you like the Ravens, the time is now, because if this line's just going to jump up if Lamar Jackson's back, and especially if Calais Campbell's back. If Calais Campbell isn't back, then I'm going to be staring at that possible double up with the Zeke and Pollard rush yards. I'm down if you want to start the show a little bit early on Tuesday and then break down this game a little closer to game time. But so we have a little more answers. But Yeah, this is this looks like Ravens smash, especially if Calais is in, Martin's out. That's a devastating blow to this already devastated Dallas team.
I agree. If Zach Martin isn't out, if he's playing, and all the Ravens come back, and this moves to 10.5 or 11, I will be on the Cowboys. It's just, I think the Cowboys are going to be able to keep this somewhat close with this Ravens team all discombobulated. Cordero Lindsay loving the Des Bryant prop. All right, let's move to best bets. We're 23 minutes to kick off, Bebsy. Let's move to best bets, but first let's go over all of your action. Before the show started, you were on Colts first half -1.5, Colts full game -3, Packers first quarter -2.5, Chiefs first quarter -4. Your additions are we kind of stayed off of those early few games, but we added the team total under 23.5 for the Texans. You also added Deshaun Watson, over 26.5 rush yards. And you added the over 46.5 in Raiders Jets, over 258.5 passing yards for Carr. Stayed off that Saints Falcons spot. You added Chubb over 83.5 rush yards, Hunt over 49.5 yards rush yards, Henry over 99.5 rush yards. This is your first triple up in a game in rush yards. And then you added the under 48.5 that I'm on already with Rams Cardinals. You got that at Bet Rivers at -107. And you added the Chargers first half, money line -115. And you added the first half under 22.5 in Washington, Pittsburgh, but that's not today. Bebsy, best bet time. Take it away.
I do still really like my Colts bets, but I think the best bet on the board has to be the Chiefs first quarter -4. I just love the way the Chiefs start football games. They come out with a plan, and it really seems like as much as Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator, he's not a great head coach. And I just, Denver doesn't seem to start on time. So that's my favorite play.
All right. I get it. I think the Colts take care of the Texans. So getting the -3, I think, is a nice spot to be in. I take the Colts. -3. I think that's my favorite look on the board. All right. Review of my action. I'm on the Colts first half -2.5, Colts full game -3. Saints, Falcons under 46. This is all on Tuesday. Saints, Falcons under 46. Giants, Seahawks under 48. Rams, Cardinals under 48.5. My big mistake was this Philly, Green Bay under 46.5. And then Patriots, Chargers under 47. My additions are quite a bit different than Bebsy's. Although we're both on that team total under 23.5 for the Texans. And then I stayed off that Jets-Raiders game, but I will be cheering on you heavily, Bebsy. Saints, Falcons, I'm on that under already. I didn't add any of those rush props in Browns, Tennessee Titans. In fact, I'm off that game, which kind of upsets me. Dan Kelly says my favorite bet live when Chargers go up 2 touchdowns. And Dennis Garcia says, at these current numbers, Denver KC under is my favorite look on the board. Why doesn't everybody in the chat, and thank you guys all for your support, why don't we all do best bets together? Let's hear your best bets. Birdie saying Raiders -7.5 is his best bet. And then my additions were, I went pretty big. Oh, sorry. Bebsy's also on those props. Gallman over 53.5, Carson over 58.5. I'm also on the Carson over 58.5, but I took the unders in both those receivers. McCoy under 219.5, Wilson under 280.5. And then that is all for me for – oh, no, I doubled up on the Chargers first half full game. All right, there you have it. And I will be keeping a very close eye. I think I might be able to get a little bit better on that Broncos-Chiefs under. I will be staring at Jay-Z, Pittsburgh, Washington, first half under is his best bet. Charles Darwin, best bet. Cleveland +5.5. Swerving agreeing. Colts -3. So JT and I are on the same best bet. Chase Dozier has Rams -2.5. Claude Martin, Bears, Lions under. K. Paul, VIP, Arkansas, Little Rock -10.5 in NCAA basketball. Thanks for sharing that with us, K. Paul. Cordero also on Browns. We have a lot of Browns best bet looks. Great stuff. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Big shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Ulysses Hayes, Patriots moneyline best bet. Eric Roberts, also Patriots moneyline. Ramiro L, Dennis Garcia, Gerald Jones, Chase Dozier, Claude Martin, David Sharp, JT, Intex, Strategic Investments, Vikings -10 best bet. Jason Lowry, Slats 45, Andrew Nicholas, Jantoni Rosario. All you guys, thank you so much. Birdie, RW, Cordero Lindsay, Slats, thank you guys so much for your support. Bebsy, can you put a bow on this bad boy? Any last words?
I don't know. Let's get paid, right? It's a big day. It's a big day for football. My palms are leaking this week, Jimmy. This is rubbing off on me.
See, my hands is glistening right now. So funny. Oh, man. Very, very enjoyable. Bebsy, thank you for your hard work and insight. We're going to start 15 minutes early on Tuesday so that we can really discuss that, at least spend 10, 15 minutes. We'll open right away on the game that we're going to watch, and we'll be able to live bet it together as well. That might be some fun, a little live bet action. Much love to all you guys. Lily Gunn, Vincente Gigante, Nate Dogg, Amsterdam, what else? All you guys, thank you for your support. Let's have a big day today. Happy Sunday to all you guys. -9 outside, but the sun is shining. I can't wait to watch football. On behalf of Rob Bebeneck and myself, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's have a giant Sunday. Get that